What's going on, Mavs fans and basketball fans alike? Appreciate you guys tuning into the All Things Mavs, All Things NBA channel. Today, we got a special guest from the Locked On Network, from Locked On Mavs. You know him as Nick Van Exit, Nick Angstadt. How we doing, brother? Welcome to the podcast.
Dogs, all of us, all five.
We're doing great. Season is coming. We're right there. It's like right around the corner. I can feel it. I can taste it. Whenever you listen to this, Media Day is very close to you.
Bro, I thought Najee Marshall popped up in your studio or something for a second. I brought
him in.
You got the soundboard on deck. I love it. Well, today we're going to talk, obviously, Mavs with the season right around the corner. I mean, Media Day is like 10 days away from the day we're recording this. Preseason, less than 2 weeks away, going to Fort Worth. Training camp in Vancouver. And then we're going to talk, obviously, Mavs Thunder matchup, as we always do. But, Nick, you do a show every single stinking day. You talk about this team every day. And so people know your thoughts all the time. But what is one thing about this Mavericks team, one take that you have about this Mavericks team that nobody's really talking about? Something that's just on your mind that nobody else is touching on.
Man, I think that not a lot of people are touching on how deep this team is, in the sense that like there's going to be guys that aren't going to play a lot, and we're going to be stuck with going like, oh my gosh, they traded Caleb Martin last year, and now he's not going to get any time at all. Or Max Christie was supposed to be this big piece in the Luka trade, and now he's not getting any time anymore. The Lively, Gafford, AD trio, like if they decide that Anthony Davis has to play center, then one of those other two centers is going to have to sit out a bunch. Like there's going to be some disappointed players on this team, and that is a big thing for Jason Kidd to try and figure out. And he's actually been pretty good at that. He has handled a lot of players that have gotten less playing time or not started or dealt with roles they didn't expect coming in. I mean, look at Klay Thompson last year, dealt with a role he did not expect to not be playing with Luka Doncic last season, and then all of a sudden he is on a different team basically now. And so that's something Jason Kidd, I think, will have to figure out. But it just goes to show the depth of this team and how like they're not going to play an 11-man rotation. It's just not going to happen. So there's just going to be some disappointed players on this team, and some fans I think will be surprised. Like Brandon Williams, it's hard for me to like try and figure out a role for him, even though he had a good end of the season last year.
Yeah, Nick, question for you. So depth seemed to kind of be the theme of the playoffs last year. So obviously Oklahoma City makes the deep run, ends up winning the title. Indiana makes a run, makes it to the finals, largely off their depth as well. How would you compare the Mavs depth to those two teams, just for me kind of as an outsider?
Yeah, I think the depth, like the Mavs have, I'd say 11 NBA players like that. They have that kind of depth. The Thunder have like 7 players who should be on like top 100 lists. Like Cason Wallace probably should have made a bunch of lists. He didn't make any of them. He didn't make ESPN or the Locked On Top 100 or the Ringers even, but a lot of people think that he should. Then they would have 7 players. Like that's insane to have 7 players, 450 players in the NBA. And so that kind of depth is like that's a high end depth, and depth where those guys are going to get better. The Chet Holmgren, the Jalen Williams, Cason Wallace, already mentioned. Even SGA probably getting better too. Like there's just so much there, and you can count on all of them. They're all going to be there this season. You don't have to worry about contracts this season. You can worry about that for next year. But the Mavs depth is like, they just have solid players across the board. I think Dirk said this the other day. They have 2 players at every position. That's pretty true. When Kyrie comes back, they will have 2 players at every position. And that's just not something that every team in the NBA has. And so that kind of depth, I think, is rare in the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting, obviously everything has shifted over the past year for the Dallas Mavericks. But the shift that's come into play lately has been like, I remember tweeting so clearly, like, just give me the talent and then we'll figure it all out later. It's like, okay, well, now we got a bunch of talent, and Jason Kidd's going to have to find a good way to manage it, like you said. And he does a good job of that, both in, how he actually divvies out roles and stuff like that, but also just being a player coach. And he's been there and he's done that, and he's seen his role move all around the NBA, coming in as a hot shot, and then playing all the way through as like a, whatever he was, 15-year vet on that Knicks team back in the day. So I'm excited to see how the depth manages out. I mean, also some sneaky tradable contracts. Like if these guys like the Caleb Martins, and even, I mean, I don't want to trade Daniel Gafford, but if Daniel Gafford really does take that back seat and AD's playing the 5, like Gafford's contract is tradable next season. I mean, I think that'll be fun to watch this season. Yeah, exactly. The name that everyone's watching right off the bat, obviously we're all making sure Anthony Davis is healthy and his eyes work and everything else. But the main name everybody's going to be tuning in for, no pun intended, is Cooper Flagg, the number 1 overall pick. Watching his role and what that's going to be is going to be extremely special. But everyone gets a taste of what it's going to look like, and you learn a lot in those first 10 games. We can include preseason in that. So preseason to first 10 games. What are you watching for the closest with Cooper Flagg and how Jason Kidd uses him?
Yeah, I think there's two things here when you sent me this. I'm looking athletically how he stacks up against other players. I was looking at that in summer league too, because that's kind of a good gauge. You're like, all right, let's take a step up from college and see where we are. Mm-hmm. And if he still looks like a freak athlete, or if he looks like, all right, he's hanging with everybody, but he's not. Athleticism is not like his thing that's going to set him apart from everybody else. So that's something that I want to see in the NBA. Does he look slow to guard guards? Does he look big against other wings? Does he look small if he's trying to defend bigs? How does he look on the court? That's something that I'm definitely watching for him. It's just athletically, speed, size, all that stuff. And then, I mean, the big thing is just his offensive role. Jason Kidd has talked about using him as a guard. He keeps pushing him down a position every time he talks about him. Eventually he's like, yeah, Cooper Flagg will be a coach on the team. But he's putting the ball in his hands, and they want to try that. They want to put the ball in his hands and see what he can do. They did that at Duke last year. It worked out really well for him. And I think that's something that we're just going to have to watch and see how they decide to do that. What positions do they put the ball in his hands, during? Like, do they let him just take the ball up the court, or do they set up some sets, give him the ball, then have him make a decision inside of a set? And that's something to me. Like, are you expecting Cooper Flagg to play like a pure point guard, take the ball up the floor? Or are you expecting more of all right, he's going to get the ball out of some sets and do like a secondary creator type thing, but it's still D'Lo taking the ball up, Exum taking the ball up, a guard? Like, when you envision Cooper Flagg having the ball in his hands, what do you envision?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the half court offense setup, or it's grab the rebound and push it all the way down the court. Like, don't worry about finding a different guard and pushing it himself. If D'Lo isn't bringing the ball up and then getting it to Cooper Flagg, I don't know what D'Lo's role becomes. Like, that's where he's gonna excel is setting the offense up and the pick and roll, but then getting Cooper Flagg into his sets. I'm really, really glad that the Mavericks have the opportunity to kind of mimic what Flagg had at Duke last year with Common Malawach. Like, the Lively Gafford pick and roll and AD too is like, it's going to be very similar. And watching all I've done all off season is just watch Duke games and watch freaking Summer League, the 2 games of Summer League that Cooper Flagg played on repeat. And so I think it's going to be very specific. Like, all right, Cooper Flagg, you got the ball at the top of the key. Here we go. Let's run this play. But I'll be interested to see how it plays out, because I could see him doing it all.
Yeah, that's what's intriguing for me. I watched a lot of Duke games last year because of Cooper Flagg, obviously not thinking in a million years he would wind up with the Mavericks. But I was impressed with him with the ball in his hands. And so I don't know. I mean, part of me thinks that it would be cool to give him the ball and let him run point at times. I don't know if that's reasonable, but I just think if you're talking pure growth potential, like putting all your eggs in the Cooper Flagg basket. I know that you have D'Angelo Russell, but I would just be curious to kind of see what he can do in a point guard role, bringing the ball up.
Yeah, but they're not giving D'Angelo Russell the ball for 38, 40 minutes. I don't know if I can handle that. I don't know if I can handle that.
I pray it's not 38, 40 minutes of D'Lo ball. But I know I'm higher on the signing than a lot of people, but Cooper Flagg, we look at the Giannis development. I think that's what everybody keeps referring back to with Jason Kidd. And Jason Kidd just gave Giannis the ball and said, here you go. Yep. Let's run. Now the stakes weren't as high. Giannis wasn't playing with a Kyrie Irving or an Anthony Davis, but he gave him the chance to develop. And so I'd love to see it. It's probably what's best for the Mavs going forward.
Yeah.
Because AD and Kyrie aren't going to be around very long.
That's kind of like the way I look at it, again, from someone that has no emotional interest in the Mavericks at all, whether they win or they lose.
You're the Thunder guy. You want their downfall.
I do. You're right. No.
Crash right into the dirt and just to never. PJ Washington never see the light of day again in that arena.
You're so right. That was a wild way to phrase that. I do have a lot of vested interest in the Mavs doing poorly, but I don't care if they do well. Right. So like I look at this is kind of a weird, this is not a comp as far as how they play, but I've been looking at Cooper Flagg as in a little bit of the same way that I kind of think about Chet, where you're like, I don't worry about his defense is like elite already. Like, I think it will be. And so then I'm looking at Cooper Flagg as someone that doesn't care if the Mavs win this year, thinking like, man, give him the ball all the time. Let him develop as much as he can in that way. And then, man, if that comes along, like, you're looking at like a top 5 player in the league.
Yeah, I think he's different in the sense that I think Chet's defense is an elite on a different level. I don't know that Cooper Flagg will be there, but his offense is going to be leaps and bounds better than where Chet is right now.
Yes.
But they are both players that when I look at Chet, when I watched him in those playoff games like 2 years ago, you just saw a guy that had every option in front of him. Like he can handle the ball, he can take a jumper, he can take a three, he can go to the rim, he can, run a pick and roll himself, he can screen. Like you can do so many different things with him. And with Chet, it was like, well, which thing do I do now? And you're like, he just has all the options in front of him.
Right.
With Cooper Flagg, it's going to be the same thing. And another thing I'm curious, maybe not the first 10 games, but just in this season, is what things from his offensive game pop up early enough in the season? Like what things translate early on? Will all of a sudden we look at Cooper Flagg and be like, oh, he may not be able to handle the ball in the way that we want, like in the way that a point guard has to handle the ball early on, because he's going to get pressure because he's the number one pick. There's a lot of hype around him. Guys are going to be wanting to go after him. They're going to throw doubles at him because he's a rookie and they're going to want him to make mistakes and all that. And if they decide, all right, you can't dribble, then all of a sudden that changes the calculus and what you can do with a Cooper Flagg. But it's exciting that like you have so many options, and I just don't know what he's going to end up being 2-3 years from now, which is amazing.
Yeah, I really, again, talking about the summer league going back, there were so many impressive things, but both games, like he handled the ball for however long summer league games are, 40 minutes. Like he handled the ball the entire time and only had one turnover between those two games that he played. And so that's one of the most encouraging things to me. And one of the things that I think, okay, that's the next step up from college to summer league. Like that is the next step up of like not turning over the ball and doing those things well. And he did that. And so I think we're going to see a lot of it. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to fail. He's going to have a lot of opportunity to succeed. Sticking with Cooper Flagg, just before we move on to the next thing, because we talked about defensively, do you see him being the point of attack defender in the Mavs starting lineup next year? I know it's very matchup dependent, but I don't know who it is right now.
I think we're getting Clay in the starting five. That's my gut. If we get the PJ in the starting five, where it's the big lineup, where it's D'Angelo Russell, PJ, Cooper Flagg, Anthony Davis, and Lively, then all of a sudden you're like, all right, well, maybe it is Cooper Flagg. The thing about it is they're going to have such a good backline defense. Like, think about the Cavs last year. The Cavs had an elite defense, and they had Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland as their two guards. Like, it is possible to run a defense and to be an elite defense, or even just a good defense, and not have the best the best perimeter defenders right on the point of attack defender, right? You need those in the playoffs for sure. I think that it's really hard to get through all those rounds without having somebody that can just pick up and like make life hard for a Luka, make life hard for a James Harden, whoever else you're playing, whoever's handling the ball. But I think during the regular season, like I think you could make it work. Like I love the different types of defenses that work. Rockets defense last year, like you have Şengün as your center, but you have Amen Thompson and Tari Eason out there defending the perimeter, and you're really, really good defense. Like I think it can work in different ways. And so they may not be the number one defense in the NBA because of their point of attack defense, because I think it may be Cooper Flagg that guards them, but it could be D'Angelo Russell too. And maybe he's just chasing around, and as soon as a screen happens, honestly, that's good for the Mavs, because then somebody else besides D'Angelo Russell is guarding that player. Like you have Anthony Davis coming to help, you have Cooper Flagg coming to help, you have Dereck Lively coming to help. Like that may be beneficial for the Mavericks. That's I'm looking at their defense early to be like, all right, what counters do they all of a sudden come up with? Because they're not going to have the best point of attack defense right away from that starting lineup.
Yeah, I mean the Mavericks like center and forward rotation is like nightmarish. It's just crazy to think about. Like if you had a lineup, which I'm sure you will often, where Lively's at the 5, AD's at the 4, Flagg's at the 3, I don't even know if it matters if anyone guards 1 and 2.
That's right.
Like it's just crazy.
Yeah, I think allowing Cooper Flagg to roam a lot is going to be very beneficial to the Mavs defense. I'm very intrigued by the non-AD lineups that Cooper Flagg is a part of. Like, does he play a lot of 4 in non-AD minutes? And I think that'll be a scary defense too, even where you got Flagg at the 4, Lively at the 5, and then, if you believe in Caleb Martin enough, put him at the 3 defending. If you believe in Max Christie enough to take a step forward as a defender, I am a believer that Najee Marshall's defense is going to be a little bit better than we got to see last year, because he had the weird sickness. He had the suspension. He didn't really get into the flow, but like coming out of New Orleans, defense was his thing. Like he was like one of the most disruptive defenders. I know, bring it back to the Thunder, Austin, like when the Thunder played the Pelicans in a play-in game, I think it was a play-in game or whatever it was, a first-round playoff series, Najee was stuck on SGA. And that, I don't know, maybe you could speak more to that. Like Najee Marshall defending SGA actually kind of worked in that.
Yeah, he played well for sure. I'm not so sold on his defense being great, but I don't think that really matters. Now, I do have a question for you guys defensively. So, again, by the time the end of the year rolled around, like I didn't even have the energy in me to hate watch the Mavs just because they were so injured. So, can you guys answer this for me? Were there many games where AD and Lively were healthy and playing together at the same time?
I think we got 4.
Okay. I'm just curious for you guys, do you anticipate that going smoothly? Do you anticipate some adjustment there? The only reason I ask is as a Thunder fan, obviously players are totally different, but just thinking in general, as far as positions go, I was extremely excited about the potential of getting Chet and Hartenstein on the court at the same time. Ended up working, but it was not what I thought it would be. And it took some growing, and I think they're still working into it. Like, I think that we're going to see the fully idealized kind of what that looks like this year. And so do you anticipate any of that? Do you think that they're going to play pretty well with 2 bigs on the court?
I mean, they better. Anthony Davis has doubled and tripled and quadrupled down. He's like, I'm a 4. I'm playing the 4. Yeah. I want to play the 4. Like I just think that he has a vested interest in being good and being a good like big man partner at the 4 too, because he wants to keep that going and wants to play the 4. I think that Lively will just play his role, and I think one of the things that the Thunder big struggled with is the thing that I talked about with Chet earlier, is they can do so many different things. Like, all right, what's my role? What am I supposed to do here? It's pretty easy what Lively's role is. It's pretty straightforward. Right. He's really good at it. Rim roller, catch the ball in the short roll and make passes, set screens, and hang out in the dunker spot. Maybe take a 3-point shot here and there. Maybe. Jimmy, are you high?
Hey,
Jimmy, are you high on the 3 ball from Dereck Lively?
Austin, you don't know this, but Mark Cuban went on record and said the Mavs season, the Mavs season goes as well as Anthony Davis and Dereck Lively shooting 3s. Dereck Lively 2 threes in his career. 2
Didn't he cash one of them though?
In the finals.
Cash one in the finals. The other one hit the side of the backboard. So
yeah, I remember the one. I remember the one he made.
Yeah, I do too. I remember that one too, and then I remember the rest of those games.
I remember everything about that game 5 against Boston or whatever it was, game 4, whatever it was. But
I want to forget things about that game 5.
Yeah, I know.
I want to forget how happy I saw all the Celtics fans as I walked around that arena. It's just sick, just disgusting.
What a tough way to go to the finals for the first time again in however many years it was. God,
Austin, have you ever seen Jimmy curse? I don't think I've ever seen Jimmy curse, and I think we almost just got it.
No, you're not gonna catch me slipping. My other thing with Dereck Lively, though, to go back to him, one thing, and I think a lot of people have just forgotten just how good he is because of the stupid injuries that he's had to deal with.
ESPN
yeah, that's true. ESPN put him high. One thing about Dereck Lively that I really, really appreciate, and I expect to continue to hold true, is you never really saw him make the same mistake twice. Like in a game, like he always adjusted well. He always learned from something. Maybe the same mistake twice in a game, but that next game, like you're going to see something that changed. And he is just so adaptable and coachable. And that's such an underrated, like obviously you can't put it on paper kind of thing. But just one of the reasons we love him so much, I think we're all so high on him, is because he can adapt. And so getting a full off season with Anthony Davis, or a true training camp and a preseason with him, I think it's going to be really fun to watch. And like Nick said, we better hope and pray that it works out, because there's too many bigs on this lineup, on this team, to not do a double big lineup. I mean, it has to.
I would imagine it would work better. Like in my head, I think it does. I think part of the issue with Chet was we were all talking about this idea, kind of like you said, Nick, about Cooper Flagg, of like Chet being a roamer on defense. And I think that still is super exciting. But I also think that what we noticed once he got back is his tendency to just end up kind of trying to play center. So like he would just kind of crash, and then it was like, oh, they're both down there. I think that I would imagine it will work out better for the Mavs than it did for the Thunder. I think it'll take a little less learning, especially with the experience that AD's already got, but be fun to watch.
If anything goes better for the Mavs than the Thunder in any facet of anything. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling pretty good about the season because, I mean, almost everything went right for the Thunder last season.
Yeah, the Mavs should be a much better rebounding team because they're much bigger and they will also miss way more shots than I think the Thunder will. They will get more rebounds. That is my
and rebounds matter, right, Nick?
They do now. They do now. Rebounds matter now for this team.
All right, sorry to keep throwing questions at you that we didn't prepare you for, but as I'm just sitting here thinking, my kind of question for the Mavericks, I don't worry about their defense at all. Like I would think they'll be a top 5 defense. How do we feel about their offensive potential? Like obviously AD can score. Cooper Flagg, I think, will be able to, but if he starts slow offensively and it takes him a year, which like I don't think that's that crazy. I've been attacked by a few Mavs fans, but I've also gone on record saying that I think Cooper Flagg's going to be like generational. I just think that, hey, maybe there's a world where his offense takes a little while to develop in the NBA. And if that happens, yeah, I know. If something like that worst case does happen, how do you guys feel about the Mavs offense? I kind of know how you feel, Jimmy, but what do you think, Nick?
Listen, if you're going to come at Mavericks fans, don't come with a measured take, right? Like
no, you're right, dude. You're right.
Go for it all.
I think the Mavericks will have the worst offense in the NBA this year.
That's right. There we go.
Yeah,
all right.
There you go.
Earn it, right? If you're going to get attacked, earn it. That their offense is going to be a big issue, I think, because it's just going to be so different. The scheme has to be completely different than what we've seen in the past. Jason Kidd sometimes will just like in the past, it's like, all right, here's Brandon Williams. He will now play the Luka role. You're like that. I don't know if that's going to work. Like, I don't know if we just want to watch Brandon Williams create for the next like 20 seconds here. They've got to change something else. They have a lot of options, though, is the thing. They have rim rollers, Anthony Davis, Lively, Gafford, like great ones. They have shooters in Klay Thompson, Max Christie, if Caleb Martin finds his shot again. But PJ Washington had a really good shooting year last year. Cooper Flagg was a good shooter, in college and should be a good shooter. Like D'Angelo Russell's a really good shooter. Like they have those. They have guys that can make some jumpers here and there. They have a couple attackers, and like I think Cooper Flagg's gonna be able to attack the rim for the Mavericks. Najee Marshall obviously can. D'Angelo Russell will a little. Anthony Davis will attack the rim in his own way. And so they have a bunch of options and a bunch of things they can do. It's just putting those pieces together. It's not going to be as seamless as one guy holding it all together, right? Like sometimes it felt like Luka was like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, like trying to hold the train together with the two webs like on either side. And he's just like trying to hold it back. This time it has to be by committee. It has to be everybody doing their own thing. Anthony Davis has got to get his. Cooper Flagg's got to get his in a way. And then you like need 2 or 3 other guys to get like 10, 15 points for you just to make it each night. But that is going to be their biggest thing to try and figure out early on.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what you just said. I mean, we went from watching every night we got a guy that would get us 35 points, a guy in Kyrie that would get us 25 points, and then a bunch of
create like 50 points, right?
Right. And now it's going to be, okay, divide and conquer, 20 points, 18 points, 16 points, 14. Like it's going to be a lot different. And it's going to be fun to watch because it's just going to be so different than what we're used to as Mavs fans and people that have watched the Mavs. But it's going to be painful at times. And I'm very interested to see the flow. I'm a little more worried about the shooting than it sounds like you might be, Nick, just because a lot of them are hypothetical shooters. Like PJ's kind of a hypothetical shooter. Max Christie is still kind
against
of a
the Thunder. Shooter. He's not.
Yeah, unless we just play the Thunder, or in Oklahoma City every night. And so that is a bigger question mark for me. Obviously the creation, but I just really believe in Cooper Flagg's creating ability. I'm high on D'Angelo Russell's creating ability. I think he's going to just shock people with his passing this next year. But it's going to be a process. The first 10 games, I mean, Jason Kidd one time said we have to wait till Christmas to really know what a team is. And so if that's the case, we're sunk. But
Jason Kidd also said he wasn't worried about missing the postseason, like 2 weeks before they ended up missing the postseason. So
yeah, there's a lot of things Jason Kidd has said, and you have them all on your soundboard, and I'm sure we're going to get 100 more this correct. Next season.
And it's just important to know that
I'm not playing. I'm watching, just like you guys.
He's just on the sides, just like watching, seeing what happens.
He's just a fan of the game. He's just a fan of the game.
That's right.
All he is. Austin, give him your last little Thunder Mavs crossover.
Yeah, totally. So again, I want to ask this question in terms of the Mavs being healthy. So it looks like Kyrie is recovering from the ACL well. How do you think a healthy Mavs team this year matches up with the Thunder? Because part of me is like, this is a completely new Mavs team. Maybe the Thunder won't have any issues with them, but I don't believe that. Like, I think that this team will still present issues for the Thunder when they're healthy.
I think they absolutely will. The size is going to be big for them, right? Like you mentioned that Chet, Isaiah Hartenstein lineup did not do well last year. Like it was like an average lineup. It wasn't like a great lineup for them. They'll have to use that against the Mavs, or you're just getting beat on every board. You're getting beat down low a ton. You're getting beat like just by size on defense on the other end too when you're trying to score. And so they'll have to go with that bigger lineup. And I think the Mavs, the size of their bigs will just body those two as well. And so they'll create problems, but obviously the Thunder will create their own issues. They'll turn the Mavs over like a million times, probably, and like have those issues. So until Kyrie does come back and you have somebody that doesn't turn the ball over as much, then I think that it's a really bad matchup for the Mavericks. But when Kyrie does come back and you got somebody that you can trust and handle the ball, get into the actions and actually create something, make it happen, that's a hard matchup. If the Mavs get enough games under their belt at the end of the season, I'm not saying I would call the Mavs to beat the Thunder in a playoffs, but I feel more confident they'd take like a couple games off of them.
Sure.
Right. In that sense, because there's going to be a game where Anthony Davis goes nuts and you go, we can't stop this guy. Like what are we even supposed to do? What are even the counters for it? And then the next game will be, you'd be like, all right, here we go. We got what we needed and got to win.
Yeah. The counter would probably be just putting Caruso on him. No, but I think that's super interesting. No, I'm just kidding. You saw what he did to Jokic, dude. I mean, he can guard anybody. No, it's going to be really interesting. Jimmy and I have talked about going down for that first Thunder game. I think it's just game 2 or 3. We go play the Mavericks, and we've talked about going down and watching. I'm excited for the potential of it because I agree. Like, I think perfect world, the double big match lineup would work for us. But I also would be curious, if you look at teams that we've already mentioned that did double bigs well last year, it's Cleveland. And the Thunder went at Cleveland in a super weird way in the second game where they came to Oklahoma City, where they rolled extremely small and just shot the lights out and ran the bigs off the court. Now that all depends on the Thunder being able to hit shots because they're back and forth on whether or not they can hit a 3 or not. But it'll just be fun. Like, I think if you did get a Thunder Mavs series in the playoffs, I just think it'd be exciting because I think you'd see a lot of that. I think you'd see us going double big. I think you'd see Dallas adjusting, Thunder going small, and just should be a really fun, enjoyable matchup. And the rivalry is just good. So I was selfishly a little glad that y'all got Flagg because it feels like it's back. And I want to crack at the Mavericks again in the playoffs.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens if they get there. The Mavs have to get there first. That's the thing. I'm like, all right.
I was going to say,
Luckily,
I just want to crack it. I just want to crack at someone in the playoffs. I don't care. I just want to make sure we get a crack at somebody in the playoffs.
Luckily, the West is full of cupcakes. So
right, yeah.
And KD's still there, so
yeah,
that's true. That's true. Well, Nick, we appreciate you jumping on. I'm sure if anybody is watching this, they know who you are and where to find you. But one time before we go, where can they find you? What are you planning up for Media Day for the preseason?
Yeah, at Nick Van Exit on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff, and then Locked On Mavs everywhere. And yeah, we're getting ready for the season to start. Media Day, we'll see what happens. The Mavs have changed some rules, but we'll see what happens on that day. But I'm excited to hear what happens to the Mavs and see what they're doing in Vancouver. I still don't know what they're doing in Vancouver. Like I've been racking my brain. Like, what is the connection? It's like, can we get as far away as we can, still almost be in the U.S.?
Yeah. What does anybody do in Vancouver? Right. So I guess that's
the Grizzlies left.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Appreciate you jumping on. Everybody make sure you like this video, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.